Number 8. John Mogan and Ashley Dubois. An Ohio couple were taken into police custody after uploading photos to their Facebook in which they posed with the money they'd just stolen from a bank. 28-year-old John Mogan and his girlfriend, Ashley Dubois, aged 24, carried out the robbery at the Savings Bank in Asheville. On the morning of August the 24th of 2015, Dubois reportedly drove Mogan to the bank after using makeup to conceal his face and neck tattoos. He walked in wearing a black hoodie and handed one of the tellers a note demanding cash. Mogan then absconded on foot with the money in hand. A few days after the robbery had taken place, the couple posted a variety of photographs to their social media profiles in which they could be seen with bundles of cash in their hands and mouths. A non-profit organization called the Central Ohio Crime Stoppers reported the suspicious Facebook posts to local authorities, who'd been struggling to identify any suspects during their initial investigation. Upon looking into the couple's backgrounds, the authorities found that Mogan had previously faced jail time for an unrelated bank robbery and had only been released on probation a month prior to the Asheville incident. Both Mogan and Dubois were charged in connection to the crime, with the former facing an additional 3 years in prison. Number 7. Michael Harrell. A man unwittingly incriminated himself while committing a bank robbery by handing the teller a stick-up note with his personal information on it. The U.S. Bank in Cleveland, Ohio was robbed on July the 19th of 2019 by Michael Harrell, a 54-year-old man who was a regular customer at the branch. Harrell slid the note stating his nefarious intentions across the teller line. Upon reading it, the female bank employee realized that he'd accidentally written his demands on a slip of paper that also listed his name and home address. The robber had reused a note that he'd received from the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles earlier that same day. The teller gave Harrell the money he demanded and even addressed him by his name in the process of completing the transaction. The robber subsequently fled the scene, and the teller was able to use the personal information written on the back of the stick-up note to identify Harrell to the authorities. He was arrested soon afterwards and, in spite of the damning evidence, ultimately pled not guilty to the crime. Number 6. Siegfried K. A man responsible for an attempted heist in the city of Osnabrück was labeled Germany's dumbest bank robber by the tabloid newspaper Bild. The robber, identified only as Siegfried K, entered what he'd thought to be a bank in May of 2011. Siegfried would quickly discover that the building was occupied by a private physiotherapy practice and hadn't operated as a bank for 17 years. Siegfried grabbed a hostage while wielding a plastic toy gun and demanded $13,500 as ransom. Upon realizing he wasn't standing in a financial institution, he instead forced a bystander to withdraw approximately $500 from a nearby ATM and subsequently fled in a stolen car. Law enforcement officers were able to lift the man's fingerprints from the toy gun, which he'd left inside the vehicle after abandoning it. With his 22 previous criminal convictions taken into consideration, Siegfried was sentenced to 7 years behind bars for the robbery. Number 5. Daniel Rains. A 35-year-old man from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, proceeded to rob a bank after having already given the employees 2 types of identification documents. Daniel Rains walked into the Metro Bank branch on 2nd Street on January the 6th of 2019 and stated an intention of opening up an account. In the process of doing so, Rains handed the teller 2 separate forms of ID. As he filled out the various application forms necessary to open a bank account, he suddenly proclaimed that he'd made a mistake and that he was actually there to rob the bank. Rains pulled out a gun and demanded money from the tellers, but was only given a small amount of cash before fleeing the scene. During the course of his attempted getaway, Rains accidentally crashed his car into another vehicle. Later that day, he was arrested by state troopers on suspicion of drunk driving in connection to the vehicle collision. He was also charged for the bank robbery after law enforcement officials confirmed his identity with the bank employees who'd handled his ID. Number 4. Hannah Sabata. On November the 28th of 2012, Hannah Sabata, aged 19, uploaded a video to YouTube in which she openly bragged about robbing a bank. The day before Sabata's video surfaced online, the Nebraska resident had gone to the Waco branch of Cornerstone Bank and made off with more than $6,000 while holding the employees at gunpoint. She fled the scene in a stolen car, which police would later find at Buckley Park in the city of Stromsburg. In the self-incriminating video she recorded after the robbery, Sabata recounted the crime she'd committed in great detail. The YouTube upload was titled Chick Bank Robber and featured Sabata's open admission to stealing a vehicle in York and conducting an armed robbery in Waco. The video, which also showed Sabata holding up thick stacks of cash, was set against the backdrop of music by the band Green Day. Sabata was arrested by police that same day and ultimately faced a prison sentence of 10 to 20 years. During her ensuing incarceration, she was found guilty of assaulting a guard and had 1 to 2 years added to her sentence. Number 3. Edna Flores. An armed bank robber who voluntarily gave the teller his state-issued ID was remanded into custody as he was in the midst of committing the crime. On January the 25th of 2021, Edna Flores, aged 34, walked into a PNC bank in the Humboldt Park section of Chicago with the intention of stealing $10,000. He wore a surgical mask, a dark-colored jacket, and a baseball cap beneath his hood as he approached the teller line and handed the bank employee a note. He had filled out a deposit slip for the amount of $10,000 and had reportedly written "No die packs" and "armed" at the bottom of the ticket. The teller subsequently activated the bank's silent alarm and, in an attempt to stall the robber until the arrival of law enforcement, requested he fill out a withdrawal ticket. Flores was asked to show an ATM card and some form of identification, at which point he volunteered his temporary Illinois ID card. The ID not only featured his photograph but also listed his name and date of birth. Chicago police officers arrived at the bank about 12 minutes after Flores had entered the building. They positioned themselves behind the robber in line. He was arrested in front of the teller window and was subsequently charged with 1 count of bank robbery. Investigators discovered that Flores possessed an extensive criminal history, including more than a dozen past arrests and an array of criminal charges. Number 2. Luke Carroll and Anthony Prince. In March of 2005, after a pair of Australian friends had robbed a bank in Colorado, they immediately went to McDonald's to take pictures showing them with the stolen cash. 19-year-old Luke Carroll and Anthony Prince, aged 20, were in the United States on a working holiday and were staying at a luxury ski resort. They decided to rob the West Star Bank in Vail, a branch they frequented themselves. During the course of the robbery, they neglected to conceal their strong Australian accents and also forgot to take off the name tags that they were wearing as part of their work uniforms. They used emptied BB guns to make it appear as though they were armed. After bagging a total of $130,000, the two men used their ski passes to board a chairlift within minutes of the robbery. Carroll and Prince subsequently made their way to a McDonald's restaurant and posed for photographs with the money they'd stolen in hand. The pair were arrested a day later at Denver International Airport while attempting to purchase one-way tickets to Mexico. Both Carroll and Prince pleaded guilty to the crime, and they were imprisoned for 5 and 4 years respectively. Their failed robbery attempt was the subject of widespread mockery and ridicule, with media outlets dubbing the two friends Dumb and Dumber. Number 1. Orlando Henderson. A vault worker at a bank in Charlotte, North Carolina, incrementally stole $88,000 from his employer over the course of several months. He then incriminated himself by posting pictures with the stolen money on social media. In late April of 2019, Orlando Henderson, aged 29, was hired to oversee the cash vault at an undisclosed branch of Wells Fargo. Henderson reportedly took this new position as an opportunity to pocket cash from within the vault, to which he was working in close proximity. He then forged the bank's ledger to mitigate the discrepancies created by his theft. Federal prosecutors reported that the bank employee had made unauthorized withdrawals of small sums amounting to only a few $100s at a time during the infancy of his scam. As time progressed, Henderson started increasing the volume and frequency of his thefts, secretly withdrawing thousands of dollars on a daily basis. According to his FBI indictment, he'd set his own personal one-day high for money stolen on July the 15th of 2019, when he swiped more than $13,000 from the bank vault. Henderson didn't refrain from flaunting his newfound wealth to his followers on social media. In a series of photographs posted to his Facebook and Instagram profiles, Henderson could be seen posing with a brand new white Mercedes-Benz that he just recently purchased. He made the $20,000 down payment for the luxury vehicle using a portion of the cash he had stolen. Henderson also posted pictures of himself holding enormous stacks of bills. As the FBI had begun investigating the missing cash, the posts were used to identify Henderson as the culprit of the massive theft. Following his arrest, Henderson faced various charges in relation to his crimes, the maximum penalty of which was 30 years in prison and $1 million fine. Thanks for watching. Would you rather rob a bank with no getaway vehicle or undergo surgery with a butter knife? Let us know in the comments section below.